Welcome back to the 2 Minute Warning. Today I'm taking a look at the Minnesota Vikings, but more specifically Kirk Cousins, and going over what I think we can expect from him in the 2021 season. But before getting to that topic, question for those of you viewing: where do you rank Kirk Cousins amongst quarterbacks? You think he's top 10, top 12, top 15, wherever you got him? Comment down below and I'll give my answer at the end. Looking at Kirk Cousins though, just for reference, looking at his last year's stats, he had a 67% completion percentage, 4,200 yards, 35 touchdowns, and 13 interceptions. 35 touchdowns is actually the most he's ever thrown in a single season. His second best being 30 touchdowns. So quite a gap. 5 touchdowns is probably more than you think. I possibly think he could top it this year, but I kind of want to look at the help around him as to why I think he could top it. Justin Jefferson is probably the best receiver Kirk Cousins has ever had. Yes, he's had some big names such as Deshaun Jackson before, but Justin Jefferson is not even close to his peak yet, and he's already being in that conversation for the best receiver Kirk Cousins ever had. I still think he is, but I get someone that wants to make an argument for Deshaun Jackson or Stephon Diggs possibly. Looking at the rest of it, the offensive line, I do think it will develop in time. O'Neal's a pretty good tackle. They brought in a guard last year that's pretty good, and they brought in Christian Darrisaw this year, who I don't know if day one he will be this huge factor by any means, but I think in time, there's obviously going to be some growing pains for a rookie, but who's to say Christian Darrisaw can't be the best tackle out of his draft? He's the third one taken, so I think the upside and his ceiling is definitely up there. They also brought in Wyatt Davis, another guard. They're definitely addressing the offensive line more than people think. Do I think it's this top 5, top 10 O-line? No, but do I think it will be improved from last year? 100%, just from more experience for the guys that have been there for a year or so, and for the new guys brought in, there's a lot more talent on this squad to be coming. Dalvin Cook, obviously there to take the pressure off of Kirk Cousins here to there. Not the greatest receiving back in the league. Not necessarily that he can't catch the football, but he's just so good at running. You know, he's just not in that Austin Eckler, Alvin Kamara type of receiving back system. Again, receivers, Jay Jettas, he's the whole reason I think Kirk Cousins is going to hit the next level and did hit his next level last year. You know, Kirk Cousins last year, like I said, 4,200 yards, 35 touchdowns, 13 picks. He's had 4,900 yards before. He's pushed for the 5,000 yard mark, but yards aren't everything. I think people want to see those touchdowns. Points matter more than yards. I think Jay Jettas is going to help him out a lot. Adam Thielen is probably the second best receiver in the NFL. He's as good as a number 2 receiver as you could get. And I know there's other ones out there, Tyler Lockett to DK, Chris Godwin and Mike Evans, Antonio Brown and Mike Evans, whoever you want to pick there. A.J. Brown and Julio Jones is actually a really tough one to argue against Adam Thielen. And Jay Jettas would still, you know what I mean. He's pretty dang good if you consider him a number 2 receiver on his team. Most teams, he could be the number 1 guy. Irv Smith Jr., hopefully he could step up to the bigger role that he's been given. I believe in him. He's a big athletic dude. Kyle Rudolph is gone. The spotlight's on him now. Let's see if he can live up to it. Looking at the defense, I think it has the upside to be a top 5 defense, and you're probably wondering why am I talking about the defense? This is a Kirk Cousins video. Well, if the defense is healthy compared to last year, if it's just any healthier than last year, the Vikings will be thankful. But if you have a top 5, top 10 defense where the Vikings are going to rank, I think they'll be one of the better ones. The defense can help control the pace of the game. They can help manage the clock. They can just allow the offense to play to their strong suits. If you had a bottom 5 defense and you're down 30 points a game, Kirk Cousins is going to have to, every single play, try and get a hurry-up score, throw it up in the air as far as he can, and just hope for the best. Yet, if they're always in tight contention, if their defense can always handle the other team, the Vikings can manage the game how they want. They can play to how they want. Daniil Hunter coming back. You got Pierce. You got Tomlinson. You got Richardson coming back. A lot of big men up front in the front 4. And those 3 guys I just named aren't going to be sack guys like Daniil Hunter, but they're still going to be big man and some big men in the box that are going to bring some tension towards them. They also got Patrick Jones, another pass rusher they took in the third round. Don't know what to expect out of that. Could be a hit, could be a miss. Still, the potential's there. Linebacker core, Eric Hendricks is a top 5 linebacker in the league. Anthony Barr, him and them together, I think could arguably be a top 3 linebacker duo. Probably either be them or Levante David and Devin White. I'm sure there's some other ones out there I'm not really thinking of. They brought in Chaz Surratt, another linebacker that's going to be a rookie. A lot of rookies that have some potential to really bring some help to this Vikings team overall, that's for sure. In the secondary, bringing in Pat Pete, having Hitman Harrison Smith, having Bashad Breeland, having Xavier Woods, having Jeff Gladney. It's a pretty deep roster as far as overall goes, but more specifically, the defense is very well-rounded, and Mike Zimmer is a very defensive-minded head coach. I have my mixed emotions about Mike Zimmer, but that's not the point. He does have some good defenses, and I can't knock him more than that. Now, all that considered, a top 10 defense with the upside of being top 5, a top 10 receiver, arguably in Jay Jettas. Kirk Cousins, what do we expect from him? Like I said, last year, 4,200 yards, 35 touchdowns, a career high compared to his 30, 13 interceptions. Where is he going to be this year? Personally, in last year, they were 7-9. I'll take that into account, excuse me. Kirk Cousins, I think, is going to improve all around. Like I said, the yards, I don't care about. If he puts up 50 touchdowns and 1,500 yards, I'm going to be okay with that. Obviously, that's not going to happen. You guys know what I mean. 7-9 last year. I like the Vikings this year to have, I don't want to say bare minimum, but I would say their floor, their bottom floor, I would be shocked if they're not above 500. I'd be shocked if they don't hit 9-8, but a more confident floor, a floor that I see being more realistic would be 10-7. Their ceiling, 13-4 is possible, but that's a very high ceiling. Just like 9-8 is a very low floor. That's just a huge range. That's anyone can predict what 4-game difference of a range. To be a little more narrow, I would predict the Vikings to go from 7-9 last year, as in Kirk Cousins, to 10-7 to 12-5 this year. So somewhere between a 3 and 5 game improvement. That's pretty good. Yards, like I said, I'm not too worried about it, but 4,200 last year. Jay Jettas is only going to get better. The O-line is only going to get better. There's 17 games now. I would say he pushes 4,500 yards. The only thing that would probably be holding him back from that is, of course, injuries, or B, Dalvin Cook. If the Cat is able to play all 17 games, he's a workhorse. I think he can run just as good as Derrick Henry. They might run the offense through him, and that might take the ball out of Kirk Cousins' hands time to time. But if he puts up yards, if he's winning the football games, I don't think anyone's going to care who's winning them as long as they're winning them. But I'm still going to say that I'm pretty confident he can go to the 4,500 yard range, 4,500 plus in passing yards for Kirk. Touchdowns, it's hard for me to say the guy's going to top a career high. That was a career high by 5 tutties. But when you got Jay Jettas, when you got Dalvin Cook, when you got Adam Thielen, when you got Irv Smith, I think he will match it or improve it. I do believe in Kirk. I am not a Vikings fan, but I am one of the biggest Kirk Cousins fans in the league. I don't know what it is. I think it's his awesome dance moves that might be swaying me towards him. I'm a fan of Kirk. He's a likable dude. For some reason, I'm a fan of him. And I like to see him do good. Obviously, if he's playing my favorite team, I'm going to root against them. But I'm still going to be unbiased, and I'm still going to root for Kirk on if it's in any given Sunday. So I do hope the best for him, and I do hope he breaks his record again. I think he will get 35 plus. I think he'll either match it or and top it. Just the extra games, the improvement of the O-line, the improvement of Jay Jettas. I could see him easily doing that. The only thing that could really hold me back is some of the tough matchups to play. If Aaron Rodgers is there, I believe they got to play the AFC North, if I'm not mistaken. The Steelers got a great defense. Browns have a very improved defense. The Ravens have an amazing secondary. There's some tough schedules, some tough games that will possibly hold him back, but that's why I'm saying he will either match it, and that 17th game will give him some leeway to match it in case he has an off game this year, or go up above and top it again. And interceptions, I'm going to say, is right around the same range. I'm going to say extra game, I'm going to say between 12 and 15 interceptions. Like I said, just an extra game this year with a tough schedule. Anything can happen. Chargers is their 17th game, if I'm not mistaken. It's a pretty decent defense with Joey Bosa, Derwin James, Justin Herbert. Could be a great game for Herbert, could be a great game for Kirk. I don't know. That's why I'm giving some leeway for the predictions. 17 games are really going to throw off some records, some stats, some numbers, some wins this year. Therefore, that is my prediction for Kirk Cousins one more time. He's going from 7-9 as a record to 10-7 to 12-5. I think that's a safe range for them. I think they'll make the playoffs. That's also a bonus factor. So that's 2 predictions, playoffs and record prediction. I think he'll push 4,500 plus yards. I think he'll push 35 plus touchdowns and 12 to 15 interceptions, depending on what kind of year Kirk Cousins is feeling. I still think he's going to be right around that 2.5 touchdown to interception ratio. We'll just have to see how it pans out. You guys tell me, you agree? You think Kirk is MVP? You are all for Kirk. You disagree? You think he sucks? You kind of in the middle like me. You understand he's got a ceiling, but that doesn't mean he doesn't have talent and can't win a football game. Tell me where you're at. And referring back to the question today, where do I rank Kirk? There's a good 10 QBs I do think is better than Kirk in no order. Brady, again, no order. Brady, Rodgers, Mahomes, Russell Watson, Stafford, Allen, Lamar, Dak, Herbert, I do think is better. He's just shown his ceiling's already higher. That's 10. Kyler, Tannehill, Derek Carr, Kirk Cousins, Matt Ryan. That's where it gets iffy, and I think they're all relatively the same. It's just who has a better day. I know a lot of people are going to disagree and think Kyler and Tannehill are there's an astronomical difference between them and Kirk, but I don't think it's that big a difference. I think Kyler could improve, but I do think Tannehill and Kirk could relatively be similar talents. I'm going to say Kirk's top 15 just to be safe, but he has the upside to be top 10. You guys tell me though, do you agree or disagree? As always, and of course, thank you for watching, guys. 2 in the morning.